Audio Jungle.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Novianda. Okay, I will show you presentation about Enterprise Resource Planning or ERP. Okay, moving to the first slide. What is Enterprise Planning Resources or ERP? Enterprise Resource Planning are often abbreviated as ERP. From the English term, Enterprise Resource Planning is an information system intended for manufacturing and service companies whose role is to integrate and automate business processes related to aspects of operation, production, and distribution in the company concerned, according Wikipedia to 2010. Okay. According to O'Leary, ERP systems are computer-based systems designed to process an organization's transactions and facilitate integrated and real-time planning, production, and customer response. In particular, ERP systems will be assumed to have certain characteristics introduced and per Mono 2005. Moving to next slide, characteristics of Enterprise Resource Planning or ERP. 1. An ERP system is a software package designed in both traditional or desktop-based and web-based client-server environments. 2. An ERP system integrates the majority of existing business processes. 3. ERP system process all transactions of a company organization. 4. ERP system use an enterprise scale database for data storage. 5. ERP systems allow users to access data in real time. And the last one, benefits of enterprise resource planning or ERP. Moving to next slide, the advantage of implementing ERP include 1. Financial data integration. Because all data is stored centrally, company executives get up to date data same way. Thus, the company's operations will run more efficiently and effectively. 3. Standardization of data and information. A centralized database that is implemented in ERP from standardized data so that information can be obtained easily and flexibly for all divisions in the company. Moving to next slide, there are several things that really determine the success of implementing an ERP. There are 1. Mature business process. This is an absolute requirement for a company to implement ERP. ERP will not be implemented in a company that does not have a clear business process. 2. Good management. It is undeniable that the implementation of a system will always be followed by changes in habits in the company. 3. Commitment. An ERP implementation in a company will definitely take a lot of time and effort. Commitment from company leaders to users who will come in direct contact with the system is absolutely necessary. Next, cooperation. Cooperation must be carried out both internally and between the company and the consultants who carry out the implementation. The last one, good consultant. The experience of consultants who carry out implementation is also very influential in an implementation. Okay guys, moving to next slide. I wish to show you a video industry about ERP, Enterprise Resource Planning. Let's get started.
Nike, the well-known consumer product company that many of you may buy from, and the company spent $400 million to upgrade their ERP systems recently, and that didn't go so well, obviously, or they wouldn't be on the list. But some of the business damages that resulted from the implementation were that the company had to take a loss of around $100 million, or they wrote off $100 million of that implementation. The stock price dropped by around 20%, according to one outlet that we reviewed in preparing for this. And the company had to invest another 5 years and another $400 million to get the project on track and to make the project successful. Now, from what we understand, again, outside looking in and what we see in the public forums, is it sounds like the project is back on track and they're getting value out of their ERP system. But the big question is, did they need to spend that much money? Was it worth the heartache? Could they have done it better? And could they have optimized the way that they went through the transformation? So what gives? Why did these projects fail? And more importantly, what can we do to avoid this type of disaster? Or more likely, how can we avoid a more moderate failure that we're not going to read about in the news, but still becomes painful for our organization? How can we navigate those pitfalls? And what is it we can do to avoid this type of failure? Well, first is to choose the right software. Make sure you've got the right technology supporting your business and that you're not choosing software and implementing software in a biased way. The second thing is to choose the right system integrator. Make sure you have the right partner or partners helping you implement. Just because it's a big name or a well-known name system integrator doesn't mean that you're immune to failure or that you won't get fired or that your project won't fail. Another thing to do is to remember that you are in charge of your project. This is your project. It's not the software vendors. It's not your system integrators. And you need to do what you need to do to make this project successful. If your system integrator isn't working out, course correct. Either give them clear direction on what you expect from them or fire them if you need to, bring in additional help, whatever it is you need. And also make sure that you're the one mitigating risks and identifying risks. System integrators generally aren't very good at mitigating risks and identifying where the risks are because they're the fox guarding the hen house, so to speak. So you need to have independent risk mitigation as part of this whole concept of making sure that you're in charge and you do what you need to do to make the project successful. The other thing to remember is that operational disruption is your biggest risk and potentially your biggest cost for the implementation. Too often companies will cut corners and step over dollars to pick up pennies. And what they'll do is they'll underinvest in things like organizational change management. They'll try to unreasonably compress the timeline and they'll cut the budget. And they'll do this all in the name of saving money and thinking that they're increasing ROI. But what they aren't looking at is what's going to happen on the other side when they go live and this materially affects their business. Generally, the companies that have operational disruptions find that that money lost and spent after go live is a lot more damaging than the money they could have spent to get it right in the first place early on in the implementation.
Guys, thanks for watching. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.